Hi guys, so I'm gonna build up a really flavorful base for the soup. I have some sweet Italian sausage. You can get one without the casing, and that way we can just saute it right up and it's ready to go. You can use spicy if you want, but today we're going with some sweet. I love the smell of fennel and sausage. It's like the best. Fennel, savory smell. And while that cooks, I'm gonna grab some bacon. We're only doing about 3 or 4 strips in a separate pan. I'm just gonna cook that up. We want it to be, pulling in the salty flavor, but I don't want it to overpower the soup. So we really don't need to get crazy with it and add too much of it. The best thing about wearing contacts is that you do not have to worry about crying when you chop onions. It's amazing, the little things. Make sure you wash your potatoes really well, and then I'm going to take my peeler and peel all of these guys up here. So this soup is basically sausage, bacon, and potato soup. While I am tempted to add some more vegetables to it, because I love vegetables in my soup, it does not need it. It's going to have all the flavor, the fat, but you have some vegetables in there. Potatoes, we're going to add a little bit of kale too, so you have some nutrition for all the kale fanatics out there. And although I make it without dairy, because I never keep heavy cream in that often anymore, because I don't put it in my coffee, I do all almond milk now. You can I'll show you a little trick where you can do cannellini beans, but you can also just add a little bit of butter too if you want to thicken it up a little bit more, add a little bit more flavor. And if not, hey, it's your soup, that's totally fine. You can just do veggies, bacon, and sausage, and it's going to be equally as delicious. Okay, the sausage is cooked all the way through. I'm going to add in our cooked bacon. Technically, you could kind of cook it in the same pan, and they say to drain the grease, but I usually leave it in there. If it's too much for you, drain it out, but it's only a few tablespoons, probably less than that. So I like to keep that in. Then I have my diced onion. And we're just gonna let that cook until the onion gets translucent and some of the flavor comes out. You wanna cook off any of that, that bitter onion flavor, just to kind of incorporate it so it gets a little bit sweet. Bring out the sweetness. And for the chicken broth, go with whatever your favorite is. I'm just gonna use this chicken stock today because I have a bunch of them. I got a bulk pack from Costco, but if you like bouillon, then you can use that as well. I definitely suggest this one from Better Than Bouillon. 1 teaspoon equals 1 bouillon cube. Add in the diced potatoes. Oh, make sure we get all of them out there. We got a few that didn't want to go in. There we go. And then some rosemary and a little bit of oregano. You can use more fennel if you want, but the sausage already has tons of fennel. Most sausage has fennel in it, so you don't have to, but if you like the flavor of fennel like me, go ahead and bump it up a little bit. And then I have some black pepper, fresh black pepper. Never use the one in the jar. Always make sure you grind it yourself. Then a little bit of salt. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, the smell of all those herbs together and the saltiness, so savory. This is just such a warm, not necessarily a spring dish. It's a little on the heavy side, but we're not using heavy cream, so we'll justify it by that. And then we can add in our chicken stock or your bouillon if you're gonna use that. And once that's in there, then we're gonna bring it to a boil. And then I like to simmer it for at least 30 minutes at a minimum. If you can do a little bit longer, I would say 45 minutes. The longer you simmer it, the better it's gonna taste. So now we can walk away and do some laundry while this cooks. And then towards the end, the only thing that you have to add in is the kale. If you can't find fresh kale, totally fine to use frozen in a recipe like this. I always keep bags of frozen peas, frozen kale, and frozen spinach in my freezer, just specifically for the purpose of soup. So there we go. I'm just gonna let that guy sit, and that's pretty much it. If you want to thicken up your soup without using any heavy cream, I do this all the time. Just add some cannellini beans to a little bit of the broth and put it in the food processor, and then just add it back to the soup again, and it's going to just thicken it up and make it a little bit more creamy. So I'm not even going to open this cannellini. I want to save it. This has potatoes in it. Because it has potatoes, they're very starchy and thick. We're actually just going to use that a little bit very carefully of the potatoes. And you can have a little sausage in there too, that's fine, right to your Cuisinart. And then if you need more, if you want your soup to be thicker, you can test it out first, and then you can always go back and add another scoop. I'm gonna post that for a few beats. And perfecto, that looks good, okay. 5. So, and then I'm adding in about a 1/4 cup of locatelli or Parm Reggiano if you're not from New Jersey. Give it a few pulses. So the puree is not the beautiful part. It's definitely the behind the scenes. It looks like it would be baby food. So then we're gonna add in some chopped kale. The behind the scenes that matters. That's when all the deliciousness starts. And it's just a bag of frozen chopped kale. It is 12 ounces. I'm gonna stir that in. And I'm gonna let it simmer, I'd say another 10-15 minutes, and then we should be ready to rock. Let's take a look. Yes, that is the exact consistency we're looking for. And you guys see how thick it is? We really do not need the heavy cream at all. I mean, if you want to make it more, you know, indulgent, luxurious, go for it by all means, but I just cut out all that stuff. I mean, you're gonna eliminate so many calories by not adding the heavy cream, and it just has so much flavor already. I don't think it's necessary. It's so delicious without it. And then that kale just adds this big pop of green, so you get a little nutrition going in there. Just need some nice crusty bread, and you have an amazing meal.